A very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord, and in our headlines, Barbadians to take home more of their pay as income tax relief is coming. Barbados creates history by being chosen to host the UN Conference on Trade and Development. Local businesses encouraged to produce quality and be export ready. And in sports, Australia become the first team to qualify for Cricket World Cup's semi-finals with a win today over the hosts, England.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
Well, in just a few days' time, Barbadians will start to see some measure of relief as it relates to income tax. Speaking at a Christchurch East Central Branch meeting recently, Minister in the Ministry of Finance Ryan Strawn said that government has reached a level of stability that they can now offer taxpayers an ease.
Our mantra has always been to try to make sure that, one, people have more disposable income, literally more money in your pocket, to be able to go about your affairs. And that has not been an easy task in less than 12 months to be able to achieve. But starting next month, across the length and breadth of this country, people will actually be seeing a significant amount of tax relief, as well as from January next year, there will be even further relief as far as Barbadians are concerned as far as personal income tax.
Minister Strawn also addressed the Sanitation Service Authority's depleted garbage truck fleet. He says government has purchased 7 trucks so far with the intention of getting more before the end of this year. He says over time, government will be able to get garbage collection back to what it must be.
We didn't have the money to buy all of the trucks one time, but as you know, in your personal lives, you go about planning what you have to do in a phased way. And this government is intended to make sure that when you pay your garbage and sewage contribution, that you see the appropriate level of garbage collection that makes sense for Barbadians. And the only way that we can do that, as I said, is just to systematically just make sure that we do the things that are needed to be done to make sure that the Sanitation Service Authority can collect your garbage.
Well, some fantastic news for the country now, and history has been created in Geneva as Barbados will be the first small nation and small island developing state in the world to host the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. The 15th quadrennial event, UNCTAD 15, gets underway in October next year. In a formal bid presented at the Assembly Hall of the UN in Geneva, Minister of Tourism and International Transport Kerry Simmons outlined why Barbados is the ideal destination for the world's largest conference on trade and development.
We take the position that the world is our business and our business is the world. We believe, and we believe very strongly, that our nation has the capacity, the maturity, the logistical and organizational ability that is required to host this conference.
And Barbados will be the host of 5 major parallel events. Barbados Ambassador and Permanent Representative to the United Nations in Geneva, Chad Blackman, successfully negotiated with the UN over the last 3 months for the bid.
I speak with a major sense of pride, not only as ambassador, but as a Barbadian, that we've been able to effectively do what no small state has been able to do with regards to the hosting of UNCTAD's biggest showpiece. All credit has to be given to God and the government of Barbados for being able to pull off what considered to be a Herculean task. It invariably speaks to who we are as a people and shows that there is nothing too big for Barbados to achieve. The work now begins, and the lineup of conferences presents an immense opportunity for all Barbadians to be engaged before, during, and after the hosting.
And that event will attract over 3,500 persons into the island over the 10-day period. Well, with just about 3 months of construction so far, Barbados' first ever drive-through home improvement, building materials and hardware store is rapidly taking shape over at Kendall Hill in Christchurch. Our Ryan Broom recently visited the site of the multi-million-dollar Koeman mega store, and he joins us live now with more on this major project. Good evening to you, Ryan.
Good evening, Lisa. Good evening, viewers. Well, it's kind of hard not to notice the massive structure on your left just after you pass the Edwy Talma roundabout heading in the direction of the airport. Now, indeed, work has been chugging along at the 165,000 square foot site. And Lisa, you may also recall that this Koyman project is valued at some US $14 million. Now, when I spoke to Chief Executive Officer of the Curacao-based Koyman Holdings, Herbert van der Wood, earlier today, he said not only is the project on schedule, but there have been no time overruns thanks to the good construction weather, and even more significantly, there have been no cost overruns either. He also says excavation of the area and erection of the steel structure have been the major areas of work undertaken at the site over the past 3 months.
This will go on, I think, until the end of August, when we have the whole structure set up, and then the inside will be taken care of with all the electricity and all other cabling to be installed. But at the same time, we will also start setting up the store wrecking, start filling up the store, and that's a process in itself that takes another 3 to 4 months. So I'm happy to say that everything's going still according to plan.
And meanwhile, the Koyman CEO has also revealed that they've already started the recruitment phase for the finished mega store by getting senior management officials in place first.
We filled them all up already. We have 7 important management positions that we have candidates for that have already signed. And then now we're starting with the process of hiring the supervisors and the sales floor people and the warehouse assistants, etc. And the 7 positions that we already filled are the assistant store management positions, inventory controller, office manager, sales account managers. So the most important management functions, and it's important that we have them in position. We are very happy that we already have them from good quality, because we will send them to Curacao and Aruba and Bonaire to be trained further.
Now, Mr. van der Wood adds that the project is currently at about 30 or 40% completion, and he says while it may look like it is at an advanced stage, much still needs to be done to get the drive-through section completed. Meanwhile, I also use the opportunity to ask the Koyman CEO about the ease of doing business in Barbados as a foreign investor coming into a new business environment to set up a new store. Now, he said the port and customs officials have been very cooperative, as at least 107 containers of work materials have already come in.
This is our first investment outside of our existing markets. The only comparison we can make is with our home markets. I can tell you that there's not a big difference. There's not a big difference. We always wanted to go faster. We always considered it to be a bit red taped. But there's rules and regulations that you have to comply with. So we found it to be, in the end, something we can very well live with. Your government institutions have done their utmost to help us, but of course they have their rules and regulations that they have to comply with. And I think looking back at the whole process so far, there's nothing to complain.
So Lisa, there you have it. Some much needed foreign direct investment at a time when the country needs it most. And I should note that at present there are approximately 120 workers on that site, and the on-site workforce will grow to 250 by the end of the construction phase. And when the store actually opens, the staff complement will be 120 employees, the majority of whom will be Barbadian. It's back to you, Lisa.
Local businesses have been encouraged to ensure their products are fit for market and are export ready. And they're also being reminded that standards and quality are important for the growth of the small business sector. That advice came as the challenges facing the small businesses were put under the microscope on CBC TV8's current affairs program, The People's Business.
A major effort is on to boost entrepreneurship and create successful businesses in Barbados. In fact, this is seen as key to helping the island improve its economic situation. But it's not always an easy road for those trying to do their own thing. Reginald Medford is Managing Director of Medford Mahogany Creations. He believes a lack of market access is one of the main hurdles for micro and small businesses.
I could imagine that they are really under pressure and struggling. But they have product that's quite good, very well presented, and I think they have the enthusiasm and the desire to establish themselves. In a climate where jobs are not there, we're just coming out of recession, the move to own your own business is an obvious alternative to hunting a job which you're probably hunting for months and months.
Authorities are also being asked to place greater emphasis on the manufacturing sector.
If there's one thing that stands out in my mind, when it comes to tourism is 9/11 and the impact that it had on businesses, large, small, across the country.
And the world.
Especially in Barbados. I know we had a shift about us, you know, and that, for me, I think that's something that we need to look at as a government going forward, because look at what happened, you know, between Iran and the U.S.
Government continues to highlight the success of its trust loan program, where millions are being disbursed to help people start and expand their businesses. But is there anything entrepreneurs can do to help themselves? Catherine Daniel of Southpaw Graphics Inc. certainly thinks so. According to her, they can do more to make their products ready for the international market.
When I taught briefly at BCC, my students in the graphic design class would tell you, I said, don't put CH. Nobody gonna know what that means. If you're doing a business card or a letterhead, put Christchurch, Barbados. Put your area code before every phone number. That's a form of branding.
CEO of the Small Business Association, Senator Lynette Holder, suggests quick fixes won't work in addressing the challenges facing the sector. Rather, she says, a concerted effort is needed to address the system overall.
Yes, we thank the government for moving the corporation tax down to about 5%. This is revolutionary. We agree. The facts are, though, that many micro and small businesses are not making any profits in the first place. And this is a fact. So we need, therefore, to consider other areas, other legislative improvements, other policy initiatives as well. For example, and I'm only touching on 3 aspects of the system so far, but business facilitation.
Meanwhile, Barbadians interested in becoming entrepreneurs are being encouraged not to be deterred, despite the challenges. Sean Farrell, CBC News.
Government is working to introduce legislation that will put an end to situations where accused are jailed for prolonged periods without facing a court hearing. Attorney General Dale Marshall says consideration is being given to passing criminal procedure rules,
which will help to codify all of the arrangements that have to be made in respect of those things. I expect to be able to move Cabinet within the next few weeks and seek their permission to put rules in place. We already have some draft rules under consideration, but I think that piece by piece we're going to get all these things right. When we add new criminal procedure rules to additional high court judges and all those kinds of things, it's a slow process, but I think we're moving in the right direction.
2 Americans have gone missing in Barbados. The Royal Barbados Police Force is seeking the assistance of the public in locating 32-year-old Oscar Suarez and 25-year-old Magdalena DeVille, who were staying at room 49 Discovery Bay Hotel at Trent's in St. James. Now, they arrived on the island last Saturday from the U.S. and are scheduled to leave this coming Saturday. Around 2:34 yesterday afternoon, they rented a jet ski from an operator at Holetown Beach and proceeded out to sea. At the time, they were both wearing life jackets. Then about 20 minutes later, after they did not return, the operator became worried and contacted other operators in the area to carry out a search, but they were not sighted. Now, the matter was reported to the police. The Police Marine Unit and the Barbados Coast Guard conducted a search of the area, extending as far as the Bridgetown port, but they were unable to locate either the couple or the jet ski. A check with the management of the Discovery Bay Hotel was made, and it was revealed that neither guest had returned to the hotel. Police are asking anyone with information to contact emergency number 211 or the nearest police station. Regional stories now, and we start in Guyana, where several people staged a demonstration outside the office of the leader of the opposition, calling on the government to launch an inquiry into the extrajudicial killings. They represent the Mourning Family and Friends organization, whose president is Penga Gayan.
We feel that it's time that justice be brought for those missing and executed persons, because the families are restless. They cannot understand why the case has never been opened. So what we're doing, we're asking the government, the president and government, to immediately open the investigations of these extrajudicial executions that occurred.
International soca monarch Hollis Mr. Killer Map has launched a songwriting competition for young people in his home country, Grenada. The competition offers lucrative prizes, including the opportunity to work with Mr. Killer and his production teams. We have a report from GBN.
Mr. Killer tells GBN that the competition will run within the schools and communities to encourage young people who have a passion and love for music to learn about songwriting. The International Soca Monarch says a gateway is being created with songwriting as the first base, whereby intellectual property rights would be a focus of the competition.
At the end of the day, a lot of artists is not yet registering their music properly. They are not with copyright organizations, so they are singing songs but not eating from the work that they put out. So my song, Run With It, I show by the end of the next 2 months I could collect maybe like $30,000 just from the song being popular through Trinidad and the Caribbean and stuff like that, because I am registered with a copyright agency.
Mr. Killer, who has exploded onto the international...
A group of young students in Trinidad and Tobago is preparing for a national musical concert, mainly featuring the steel pan. Now, all of those students are under the age of 10, and we hear more about their preparations in this report from CNC3.
Not yet 10 years old, they are already jamming the tunes of a legend. These students of the Folk River Academy for Excellence are preparing for full-length national concert in 2 weeks' time. For 2.5 hours, they'll be playing all genres of music: classical, jazz, punk rock, R&B, and of course, soca. For them, this is more than just fun. It's an academic exercise as well.
We use the steel pan as our main instrument because it's a little bit better for the kids to learn on, to develop their motor skills and stuff like that. And we do both theory and practical. What we find and what we try to encourage is that we make sure the kids understand the practical aspect of music so they can transition to any instrument if they choose to.